Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War online commentary. In this particular battle, I'll be playing the Beastmen, and I'm going to be facing off against the peasant hordes of Bretonnia. So yes, I've been running to a lot of peasant builds on the ladder, but that's a-okay. Gives me a lot of time to kind of innovate and try new strategies against them, so hopefully this one works out. So let's get right into it. So as far as my front line goes, I have Gorherds with shields. I like these guys against Bretonnia. They have slightly better combat stats than their kind of Ungor equivalents, and they have 32 melee defense, which is pretty good, 28 melee attack, and 28 weapon strength as well. They also do have the bronze shield, which isn't quite as good as the silver, but I don't believe the Ungors have that either. So what I like about these guys is they do pretty well in sustained combat versus Bretonnian infantry, whereas a lot of the Ungors, will actually just lose in straight up combat against the Bretonnian front line. So these guys do a pretty good job. They're shielded, fairly expendable for only 500 resources, and definitely a fan of these guys in this particular matchup. In the secondary line, I have two Ungor Spearman herds, just the traditional anti-large, non-shielded variant. I just have these guys. Again, you can't just assume they're going to play the peasant build. So these guys I brought just in case he decided to bring Grail Knights or Knights of the Realm, things like that. And essentially, I just put them in the wings. So the front line will engage, and if he had some cav or wanted to pressure in the flank, even with King Lewin, these guys do have an anti-large bonus, and they can do pretty okay for how much you're paying into them. So I have one group here, and then I also have one on the other wing here to kind of protect my flanks. In this particular matchup, they're not going to be quite as good, but they're still expendable units I can throw towards the Bretonnian infantry. So I also have two Centaurs with great weapons who are joined by a group of Chaos Warhounds. So this is absolutely essential in this build, even against the peasant build, which is, it's very hard to find a good place for cav, because if you guys go ahead and take a look at this Bretonnian line, there's not really any place my cav can get in. Like over here, there's a little bit of a pocket, but he can simply move his spears over there, who will make quick work of those Centaurs, unfortunately, especially for how much they cost. So I just have them essentially to deal with King Lewin and the Paladins and that type of dive, because if these Centaurs and the Poison Warhounds and the Gorbel here get on his heroic units, they are most likely not going to get away. Centaurs are extremely fast when buffed right now. They actually have 96 move speed. The Poison Warhounds also are upwards of 90 as well, at 95, so pretty good against Bretonnia. And simply what I like to do is just kind of run below them, see wherever they're going to land, wherever they're going to target, then you go all in and just go for them. So big fan of those guys. I also have a Gorbel. I actually only have one Gorbel, interestingly enough, and I'll explain why. I know it's a kind of sacrilege as a Beastmen player. I'm not myself, but I would assume that bringing two Gorbels is a must. But against the peasant blob, I actually have just been bringing two Bray Shamans with the Lore of the Wild, and essentially I just bring the Manticore Summon on one, and then bring Flock of Doom on both of them. And Flock of Doom is so devastating against the peasant hordes. Once you get them kind of grouped up in that initial engagement, and their troops start to clump and things get a little bit chaotic. And Flock of Doom, even overcasted, doesn't cost that much. I believe it costs around 9. So you can get a bunch of cycles of Flock of Doom and just absolutely devastate the peasant rank. So I'm a big fan of that ability. And I also have a Beast Lord right here who does have the Horn of the First Beast, which gives your guys a nice charge bonus, gives them good melee attack as well as weapon damage, and it does make them immune to psychology, which is pretty decent against Bretonnia. If they do have King Lewin on Beakis, who does cause terror. I believe he actually just has him on a Pegasus this game to save a little bit of money, but it can be decent. So again, that's the rest of my army. So let's go right into this army, which is, as you guys can imagine, fairly straightforward. He has a front line of men-at-arms with polearms, which are just a Swiss army knife against the Beastmen. They're great against Gorbels, they're good against Minotaurs. They hold their line against Beastmen infantry pretty well with their 40+ melee defense, so very, very good unit. In the secondary line, peasant bowmen with spears. He does have a damsel in there as well, which is nice, provides encouragement to those nearby troops. And then he has spears in the back, so very, very sturdy, tight formation, pretty hard to crack. But as you guys can see, look how friggin' bunched up they are. I should be able to get some good Flock of Dooms here and do some serious work. So also, what Bretonnian army would be complete without the Paladins and King Lewin. So looks like he probably was cutting some corners with Beakis and decided to just, cut that and allow him to get an extra group of spears or maybe some extra abilities on his damsel. We may never know, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just advancing my Beastmen line, and Gorherds are pretty fast actually. They have 42 move speed when buffed by the Heroic Lord, so pretty fast. They can close that distance and mitigate the amount of missile fire they're going to be taking, so definitely cannot complain. I do have my Centaurs, and you can see I'm just kind of mirroring his movement here, just trying to see where he wants to go, and I am starting to take that missile fire though. But against Gorherds, it's really not going to be that devastating. If he was firing on some of my unshielded units, it would be much worse. But still, I did take 4 casualties here, but I'm almost there. And look at this Flock of Doom. Look how much damage it's doing. It's absolutely devastating these peasants. This took him down a good, let's go ahead and take a look here, sorry. About almost 15%. And over here, that's like a good 35-40% here. So the beasts are going to engage here. This is going to be a pretty good engagement, though these guys do have charge defense, so my charge is essentially going to be completely mitigated. And the men-at-arms and polearms are going to, they're going to do well in this matchup, but I think these guys will, have kind of the ability to kind of stand and fight, especially with that Flock of Doom just cycling. So you can see I used one, and I used another one, and this Peasant Bowman group is already, like, almost out the door. I was also able to get my Beast Lord in here on his chariot, and he was able to kind of ride in there and do a little bit of work. He also has his Gorbel buddy, who is taking a lot of crossfire from these Peasant Bowmen. So you can see he has a nice little firing line here, which is very tough. And, one of the issues is his Goon Squad is going to come in right now, and I do have the support of the Gorbel, but, the Beast Lords are pretty easy to target down. I mean, thankfully he does have the Pimp My Ride chariot, and he's able to ride away, but you can see he took about half of his HP and damage. But in doing so, he lands, he kind of gets a little trapped up, and then my Centaurs and all my other troops are coming in, and you can see I'm continuing to use Flock of Doom here. I've hit a nice little, group, and I haven't really attacked these Peasant Bowmen, to be honest, or these ones over here. That's just Flock of Doom. And that is huge. And right now, that Flock of Doom crumbled this line. It allowed the Beast to get through, and you can see they're kind of charging in there with their 42 move speed and just chasing those peasants down. So pretty good situation against the peasant masses. Guys, I would definitely recommend trying out the double Flock of Doom. It seems to be really strong. And also the Poison Warhounds are pretty good for chasing down the peasants as well. So he did get his Air Force back in the sky. He's kind of moving around, and he's completely healthy. So that charge wasn't that effective, but he does come in again and isolates my Beast Lord. Is able to do a ton of damage, but I immediately turn around with everything, and now he's not going to get away. He's surrounded. My Lord is able to squeak away on his chariot. And that's why I do put him on the chariot against Bretonnia, even though the armor piercing isn't as pertinent. Now the Gorbel is here. These guys are probably poisoned. Yeah, you can see they're having a really bad time. Their leadership is steady. And King Lewin himself, let's go ahead and find him right here. So yeah, you can see him right here. He's surrounded. He is not going to get away. He has these Centaurs. Now that he's poisoned, his move speed is actually 84, so he is indeed slower. So there's really very, very little chance of him escaping. Right now he does use a Sword of Corone, which is pretty solid. It gives his Paladins and King Lewin a bit of a fighting chance, but still, things are going pretty south elsewhere. You can see he's kind of getting enveloped here. His Peasant Bowmen are in melee engagement with these Goreherds. And Goreherds against unarmored... Oh, that guy just took an arrow right in the neck. Look at that. He's still going. What a trooper. And again, that Flock of Doom is continuing to come in and just apply pressure, and that's such a good tool at breaking these peasant formations. And the Goreherds, like I was telling you guys earlier, they have, 28 weapon strength and pretty good combat stats otherwise. Obviously against Peasant Bowmen, it's going to be a favorable matchup, but also they're very fast. So once you do crack their formation, they can start to swarm on the rest of the Bretonnian formation very, very quickly. So King Lewin did get surrounded and circle beaten by all of these guys, and now this is just a very scary little goon squad to chase, and my Lord is just kind of on a sabbatical over there. You can see he ran into the hills, and at that point, all of the Bretonnian forces did rout off. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that Beastmen game. It's definitely, I was tinkering with a few different builds, and this one felt pretty solid. Granted, had he been able to get my Lord and maybe escape, it could have been a very different game. And it's tough to say, but the peasant formation is pretty tough to crack for sure, but the Flock of Doom is a great tool. Thankfully, he was pretty tight on that formation, and I think most of the peasant builds do run a pretty tight formation just to really protect those archers, so it's hard to say, but again, that game certainly could have gone either way. So as far as the troops go, you can see the Goreherds got pretty good value. So did most of his men-at-arms with polearms, and also some of his peasants did, but a lot of them just got worn down through the attrition of the flock. These kind of spearheads were just kind of, just meandering about, not doing the most, but they didn't really have ideal targets, but eventually they did get into melee. This one actually kept an auxiliary and was like really late to using him, but he did get in there at the end. The Centaurs obviously didn't rack up a lot of kills, but they were excellent at chasing down Lewin and trapping him, especially in conjunction with the Gorbel. As far as the peasant hordes go, yeah, they did okay. Peasant Bowmen, they got Flock of Doom to those. It was very, very strong. So very well played to my opponent. I look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and I hope you guys enjoy that beast cast. And guys, stay tuned. A lot of fun thumbnails coming. They're so great. You guys are literally going to put me out of business. I've been saying this probably in my past few videos, but they're great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the kind of a montage or a slideshow to the YouTube channel. Each of those particular thumbnails is going to be numbered, so it'll say like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And each one will get a little bit of screen time, so you guys can sit and enjoy them in all their glory. And eventually, after the video, I'll give you guys a link to kind of a voting document, and then it'll just have the number. You just click the number you want to vote for, submit it, and we will go from there. And again, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually eager to see what you guys think is the best one, because I have my opinions, but of course, I'm only going to be casting one vote. So it's going to be really interesting to see. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you're all doing well, and have an excellent night.